Star Wars Outlaws has had a bit of a rocky launch. Sales are soft. Review scores are pretty soft with a Metacritic around 76. It hasn't gone over as well as I'm sure Ubisoft hoped, and now it looks like the creative director has changed the company. Let's talk about their plan going into the holiday season, because that's when they said they're going to do their big push, and what we see happening with Star Wars Outlaws in the near future. So long story short, Star Wars Outlaws, in my mind, it just didn't quite hit the mark in terms of grabbing players early on. I played the intro of the game and you're introduced to this character and Nyx, and it didn't really grab you. And then they have this sort of clunky stealth section at the beginning of the game that a lot of people I saw didn't super enjoy. And the sales reflect that. The sales were rather soft on the game, and Ubisoft said it's softer than expected. Well, now it seems like they're making announcements about what they're going to change. So there's this development blog that they just posted. It's a dev update number 1, pushing into hyperdrive. And they kind of buried the lead on this, because right at the top it says, to speak more on this topic is Drew Reckner, who has recently taken the helm of Star Wars Outlaws as creative director. Okay, well, that's pretty substantial, because Julian Gherity of Division fame had previously been in that position. What happened to Julian? So digging into it a little bit, we can actually find this old blog post from September 2023, where we actually found out there's a lot of focus on Division 3. After joining the team at Massive Entertainment, a Ubisoft studio, and shipping the original in 2016, he moved to Tom Clancy's The Division 2 as creative director, where he and his team crafted a new adventure in the summertime streets of Washington, D.C. Now he's setting his sights on Tom Clancy's The Division 3, as well as the plethora of other projects set in the Division universe, including the mobile game Tom Clancy's The Division Resurgence and the survival action shooter Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland. That is via a Ubisoft blog post. Here's the thing about that. I believe one of those Division titles were canceled. I am a huge Division fan. I actually played the mobile version. I don't believe I got to play Heartland. I either played Heartland or the other one. I liked the mobile version. It was actually pretty solid. It was basically Division 1. You can go see that gameplay over on IGN. And I like the Division franchise. I think Division 2 is great. I would be hyped to play a Division 3. I think it's a great call. Division Warlords of New York was a really good DLC that reinvigorated the fan base, so to speak. But what does that mean for Star Wars Outlaws when they're making this change? Well, let's continue the quote here. It's the wrong one. I'm very excited to be stepping into the role of creative director on Star Wars Outlaws and to be working with the incredibly passionate team here at Massive Entertainment, along with our talented co-development studios around the world and Lucasfilm Games. I would like to personally thank you, our community, for your positive response to the game. We see and love all the fan arts, comments, and videos you've created around the game, and it continues to provide joy and inspiration to the team. We truly hope you're enjoying your journey across the Outer Rim with Kay and Nyx thus far. I seriously forgot her name was Kay for a second. I didn't play it that long, to be fair. It was like an hour. But long story short, I hear them, they're talking about how much they appreciate their community, just like I appreciate you when you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, or hit that like button so that this video gets shared in the algorithm. Thanks for watching so far. In all seriousness, though, they kind of get into it here. I also want to take the time to say that we hear not only your positive feedback, but your constructive feedback as well. Thank you for sharing with us and helping us make the game even better. Today, I want to share with you the next priority areas we are looking to address to ensure that Star Wars Outlaws is the best experience possible for you. Okay, here's the thing about this whole big dev update. They go on to talk about, how they're working on the game, they're addressing bugs, they're going to change some of the combat sections and things like that. Even after all of that, which is going to hit on November 21st, I don't see this game coming to Steam and having some massive influx of buyers. Now, granted, Black Friday will traditionally move game copies, but the Metacritic is out there. The game is 76. Like, even the critics are sort of like, it's okay. It's good, I guess. Some people liked it more than others, but if that's the consensus from critics, and then on the internet, it's been widely panned for lack of a better term, like they think the character models don't look good. They think that the combat is super clunky, lots of bugs. There were deleted saves at the people who spent the extra money had their saves deleted. It's been one of the least polished launches I think I've seen in the industry from the AAA space in a while. And I am glad that they delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows, because if they had the same issues they had with Outlaws, it would have been just a bad look for Ubisoft, which is going through like development strikes right now and stuff. Here's what they said in the Games Radar interview not that long ago. They said, "I'm a little disappointed with the Metacritic, of course. Recognition from press and critics is very important to us, but players are really connecting with what we did. We had a very ambitious target. We literally reached for the stars, and I think we were successful from so many different angles. There's a magical, unique experience within Outlaws, whether it's Star Wars or not." I don't think players really did connect in the way that they had hoped, honestly, because if they had, the sales would not have been soft by Ubisoft's own metrics. I can appreciate that these are people that spent like 7 years of their life working on the game, but when you miss the target, you need to sit back, reflect on what went wrong, and hopefully don't make that mistake on the next 7-year-long project. It's unfortunate that we're seeing this happen all too often right now in the space. Here's what they said about working on the game. "I'm still working on it." Game director Matthias Carlson is still working on it. "We're pushing a lot of improvements, not just on the base game, but it's things that we're going to deliver later this year and next with the downloadable episodes we're creating. They are heavily themed, pushing a certain aspect of the game that we have even further. I'm still working on it. Matthias is still working on it. We're pushing a lot of improvements. We just don't want to let it go. They're going to have to kick us out the door." Well, Julian is gone. So Julian is, as far as we know, on Division 3. There's strikes going on at Ubisoft. I think there's a problem with Ubisoft corporate making this mandate for them to make a game that lives in perpetuity. Everybody's got their hand caught in the cookie jar. Suicide Squad got caught with their hand in the cookie jar with the looter shooter genre from a studio that makes acclaimed first-person games. Hogwarts Legacy from WB came out earlier in the year. It made $1 billion. And they're like, well, we don't want $1 billion. We want $1 trillion. And unfortunately, well, I wouldn't even say unfortunately. I would say thankfully, a lot of these AAA studios are realizing that's not really a sustainable model. We've tried our $200, $300 million bets and they aren't working. Dragon Age Veilguard, which just came out recently, was, according to a report from Schreier, retooled from like one of those always online experiences where you're constantly leveling up your character into a single player experience. And it was the right move. And, you know, my opinion on that game is that it looks like sales are going to be not as crazy lofty as expected, but I do think it will wind up being profitable for the company long term. That's not going to happen in the first week, though, which I'm sure is what BioWare and EA would have liked. And the internet seems to think it's really, really not doing well. And it's another example of they had to retool Dragon Age Veilguard from the ground up, basically to make it a single player experience versus one of those always online experiences. Unfortunately, Star Wars did not have that same luxury. I am glad they're working on Division, though, because I love the Division. Here's what Ubisoft Earnings said. Despite solid ratings, Metacritic 76, and user scores across the first party and Epic stores, 3.9 out of 5. That's not particularly good. A 3.9 from user scores? Anyway, that reflect an immersive and authentic Star Wars universe. Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved softer than expected. In response to player feedback, Ubisoft's development teams are currently fully mobilized to swiftly implement a series of updates to polish and improve the player experience in order to engage a large audience during the holiday season to position Star Wars Outlaws as a strong long-term performer. Look, I appreciate everybody who are out there making these games, spending 7 years of your lives. But just like I said with Concord, there's not really a situation where Star Wars Outlaws comes to Steam and somehow it makes $300 million. Like, that's just not going to happen. And I think it's important to be realistic about your expectations here. Ubisoft is trying to talk nice to their investors who are basically saying, we don't think you have what it takes anymore to be releasing these games. based on the last few sales numbers being quite soft, and placing bets on things like X Defiant that started strong and then, obviously tapered off, or Skull and Bones, which kind of just came and went, in my opinion. I don't know how that game's been doing. It's not doing great, but it is holding a stronger concurrent than I expected last time I looked. And I think investors are just kind of like, what's the play in here, Ubisoft? Like, we know that Star Wars Outlaws coming out in November during Black Friday isn't going to do gangbusters. Wait a minute. This is an old quote. Please disregard that quote. Anyway, yeah, that's the story in a nutshell. They're talking about all these changes that they're going to make, and you can expect to see more details about how we will be celebrating and embracing player choice more than ever before, whether it's sneaking through encounters, going in blasters blazing, or everything in between. We will provide more specific details about the changes to these areas and more in the upcoming weeks as we provide further updates to you. Here's the thing. That's from the dev blog, by the way. They know that players probably hit that introductory stealth section, and then they uninstalled the game. I hit that stealth section, and then I'm like, look, Metaphor is coming out. I'm going to go play something else. I'm not a Star Wars fanatic. Like, I like Star Wars games, but there's so much else right now that I could be playing. I would rather go play, right now, they're up against like Call of Duty. I can just go play Call of Duty. I can go play Metaphor. I can go play more Dragon Age Veilguard if you're playing Dragon Age Veilguard, or any of the games on the list. Like, what's on my most played list recently? Let's just take a look. Halo just did a third-person update. You got the Horizon remaster. Strangely enough, the Red Dead Redemption game on PC, that's a lot of fun to play. You still got Destiny. And there is a problem just in the industry generally with a competition for screen time. There's constantly a new cool thing that us gamers want to play. And I do worry, well, worry is not the right word. I do think that Star Wars Outlaws is just going to have a really hard time breaking through in November of all times, when everybody else is going to have the same strategy. You don't think Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is going to do a big push for that window? You don't think Call of Duty Black Ops is going to do like double XP weekends and $5 off of your game? All of these franchises are going to make the same play you are. So again, you're going into a very thick market. They know they made the mistake of not releasing on Steam day one. I don't think these development changes are going to move the needle as much as they need to push this game into the kind of margin that it needs to be for Ubisoft to see success. And time will tell. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much to the members. I have to update this. Aries, a viewer of my live streams, just gifted a whole ton of members, so it probably needs to be updated at this point. But if you want to support this channel, you can do so by clicking that join button to see more videos like this one. Thank you so much, everybody. Check out my video yesterday, and I'll see you for the next one.